Welcome friends to the Salamandra's Gran Turismo 7 Let's Tune, where we pick a race to race, a car to car, and find the perfect setup. This is me losing control at 180 miles an hour. Today's race is the American Clubman Cup 700 at Daytona Road Course. Daytona Road Course is a 12-turn, 3.81-mile track in Daytona Beach, Florida. Every year, during the last weekend of January, the track hosts a 24-hour race called the Rolex24. Today's car is a 2019 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1, which is a 7th-generation Corvette. Its 6.2-liter supercharged V8 produces 755 horsepower from the factory, but today will boost the power to 845 and hit a top speed of 210 miles per hour. The car has incredible grip and impressive downforce, allowing you to use all 845 horsepower in second gear so long as the car is pointed straight. To start, we'll install a fully customizable limited slip differential, a fully customizable suspension, and a fully customizable manual transmission. For our initial setup, we'll set the body height adjustment to 90 in front and 95 in rear, which are the lowest values. We'll set the anti-roll bars to 5, both front and rear. We'll set the damping ratio compression to 20 in front and 20 in back. We'll set the damping ratio expansion to 30 in the rear and 30 in the front. We'll set the natural frequency to 1.8 in the rear and 1.8 in the front. Then we'll set the negative camber to 0, both front and rear. And we'll set the toe angle in the rear to 0. We'll also set the initial torque to 5, acceleration sensitivity to 5, and braking sensitivity to 5. I had started tuning the car with racing hard tires, but later realized that I needed to switch to sports soft so that I could add sports brakes without going over the 700 performance point limit. Alright friends, kick it off.
Let's get tuning!
With this setup, we get some understeer, which leaves you waiting for the car to rotate before you can hit the accelerator and get down the straight. So we'll increase the natural frequency, both rear and front, to 1.9, and then we're also going to reduce the transmission setting down to 330 kilometers per hour, which is about 205 miles per hour. We'll install the bracing brake pads, and we'll also install the carbon ceramic brake kit, because why not? With this setup, the car is a bit unruly when you're laying down extra power, which is actually a sign of understeer. So we're going to increase the natural frequency further up to 2. Now the car is rotating nicely both on and off throttle, so we're going to drop the natural frequency down to 1.95. With this setup, we get understeer on throttle right there, so we're going to increase the natural frequency up to 1.98. We're also going to increase the transmission up to 340 kilometers per hour, or about 210 miles per hour. The car feels neutral again with this setting, so we're going to drop the natural frequency down to 1.97. Now there's a nice neutral rotation during both high speed and low speed sections. So I think this is a perfect setting. We're going to move on to damping ratio settings. Turns out actually that our initial setting for the anti-roll bars was spot on, so lucky us. We'll start by setting the damping ratio compression to 25 front and rear, and the damping ratio expansion to 35, both front and rear. With these damping ratio settings, the car rotates nicely, so we're going to increase the numbers further. We'll set the damping ratio compression front and rear up to 30 and the damping ratio expansion front and rear up to 40. Now it feels a little bit too stable on throttle, so we're going to drop the numbers down to 28 compression and 38 expansion. These settings feel really excellent all around, so we're going to increase it just to 29 and 39 just to make sure. With this setup, we get understeer again, so now we know that we can drop the compression down to 28 and the expansion to 38, and we've got our settings. Now we'll start tuning our negative camber angle, which we're going to set to 1, both front and rear. With this setting, we get significant understeer on throttle right here. So we're going to drop the values down to 0.5. This setting feels pretty great, so we're actually going to increase the values up to 0.8 front and rear and see how that goes. We're getting understeer again with these settings, so we'll drop them down to 0.7. This setup feels really good all around, so we're going to move on now to adjusting the toe angle. We'll start with the values as 0.1 toe in the back and 0.1 toe out in the front. With this setting, the car exhibits understeer again on throttle, so we're going to reduce the numbers down to 0.5. The car feels a little bit too stable, so we're going to drop it down to 0.3. This setting feels fantastic. We're going to try 0.4 just to make sure. Get some understeer again here, so we'll put it back to 0.3 toe out front and 0.3 toe in rear, and we'll move on to the differential settings. We'll set the initial torque to 6 and the acceleration sensitivity to 6 to start. Here you get to see some of my fantastic driving skills. Realistically, this is the hardest braking zone of any track in Gran Turismo. But we do get some understeer here, so we're going to reduce the initial torque back down to 5 and increase the acceleration up to 7. These settings feel really great. You can rotate the car nicely under throttle. We're going to increase the acceleration value up to 8 to see how that goes. With this setting, we get a little bit of understeer, a lot of stability on acceleration, so we're going to drop the value back down to 7. Now that we've got our setup, we're going to increase power. We'll add the sports air filter and also the low-end torque supercharger. These will get us as close as we can to 700 performance point limit without exceeding it. Now we'll do the full race shakedown and just make sure everything's set up correctly. See here, I'm trying to play very, very nice so we can get that clean race. The most satisfying thing about this car though is just smashing the throttle in second gear and just flying out of that corner and passing cars. Accelerating out of this corner is so smooth, it's buttery. You can tell how great the setup is because when you're coming through that section, it's very bumpy, but the setup soaks up all those bumps and allows you to put the power down and keeps everything smooth. You can tell there's a bit of a mismatch between the performance point rating of this race and the competition that you're up against. You shouldn't be able to be passing them like they're standing still like that. Hitting about 210 miles an hour and going into this really difficult braking zone. I'm barely holding it together, but we get there. This is a pretty difficult turn. You really have to kind of hang wide and wait so that when you rotate, you can actually hit that apex. If you go in a little bit too tight, you're going to lose a ton of speed. That braking zone in this corner is so much work. I think if I was a little bit less hard on the braking, it would be smoother, but also, you know, there I go, mow the lawn again. Yet again, I'm just trying to hold on to it here. One of the tires locks up because I'm not using ABS, so I had to smash the brakes and get all the tires locked up so they're going the same speed and let off the brakes and make this corner. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with flat spot tires in Gran Turismo. Alright, first place. Now watch how easily the computer breaks into this corner. The power this car makes and the way that it puts it down is addictive. It is so much fun. Ooh, clean race! This is when I like to sit back and enjoy all the hard work. Alright friends, thank you so much for watching. Go have some fun with this really awesome, powerful car. Totally addictive. Also, please like and subscribe and keep an eye on my Twitch schedule. If you join the live stream, you can help me pick out the car we'll tune next. Salamander out.